Hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode of Epic Live. I am your host, as always, athletic and event coordinator here at the Epic, JJ Jefferson. And today, I cannot be more proud and honored of the episode we're putting on because I've got a special guest who actually is the reason why all of this wrestling started here at the Epic anyway. And he is a Grand Prairie native. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, he is one in a million. This is Tatum Manning.
Yes, sir.
Tatum.
Woo!
Woo!
Yes, sir.
How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity, man.
Not a problem at all. And kind of for the viewers, and Tatum, this is for you as well. You know, the reason, like I said, a lot of people don't know the ins and outs of why this all started. But for you personally, because this has been an interview I've been waiting to do and wanting to do. And just to give you a backstory as well, so MPX had a show a couple years ago, Purple Rain 2022, which is where you were the current defending MPX champion. And it's where you kind of started your heel era. And I remember just being a fan at the show, and Cody Cox, you know, got on the mic and was like, and coming out next is from Grand Prairie, Texas, one in a million, Tatum Manning. And as soon as I heard that, man, like my gears started clicking because here I oversee the athletics. So we have our pickleball, we have our basketball, we have our badminton.
Yep.
And then on the event side of things, it was like, what can we do that no other rec center gets to do before? And as soon as that clicked, I was like, I got to talk to everybody. So I remember I talked to Kirby, I talked to Palmer, I talked to Ernie. They came out, they seen it, and they're like, yeah, man, we're on board. And from there on, it was only a matter of time until you got involved. So knowing all of that, how do you feel that this is happening now?
Man, I've done a few podcasts this week. This is definitely the coolest setup I've ever done.
Thank you.
I'm excited, man. I could not be more ready. I'm anxious. I'm nervous. What I can tell you about Metroplex Wrestling is we have been running out of the same building, 510 Harwood Road in Bedford, Texas, ever since I started. I started training there the summer before my senior year of high school. I started training there in June or July of 2017.
Right.
I had my first match right after I graduated. I think my first match was June 1st, 2018 in that building. Our loyal fan base and our crowd who has been there from the get-go has pretty much seen me grow up right in front of their face. You know, it's been 5.5 going on 6 years for me now since I had my first match. We've been looking to expand. We'll have our bigger shows of the year, the Texas Rumble, Destiny, The Purge in the middle of the summer, which is like our ode to ECW. You know, we have Purple Rain, which is our anniversary show. We've been looking to get into some kind of a bigger setting, a bigger venue where we don't have to turn people away at the door because we've gotten into that situation many, many times, especially when, you know, everything is falling into place the way that we want it to and when we have a really, really big show like we have coming up here on the 16th.
For sure, man. And kind of to touch on what the Epic is, because this is in your backyard,
yes,
man.
Sir.
I mean, this is kind of home field advantage for you.
I drove a whopping 2.5 minutes to get here, so that's a good feeling, man.
So kind of just knowing that, too, like how does that feel for you knowing that this kind of hidden gem was here all along?
Man, never when I got into this did I think, oh, one day I'll get to wrestle on a big show right in the middle of my hometown. And, you know, with the success of Pro Wrestling Revolver coming in and out of the Epic, you know, naturally that was the next step for Metroplex Wrestling to try and get one of our bigger shows, you know, in this venue. Right. And just the knowing that it's coming up and that I get to wrestle right in the middle of my hometown and, you know, represent my people, show out for my city. That's a special thing, man, because, you know, if you live in Grand Prairie, you go to barber shops, you see murals, you got Virgil Ortiz on there. You know, we're a proud people, man. This is a good city with an amazing culture. And I'm happy to be from here, man. I'm blessed to have grown up here, lived my whole life here, and represent Grand Prairie. You know, the last time I wrestled here was for Pro Wrestling Evolver. I was in an 8-man scramble. I was not a good guy. Very, very loud, roarous boos. But, you know, I did what I needed to do. I got in there. I got my heat. People didn't like me. They wanted to see me get my ass kicked, and I did.
Right.
But now it's completely different, man, because I'm going one-on-one with TNA Wrestling's Trey Miguel. I'm wrestling one of the best out there.
Right.
Going toe-to-toe, man, just trying to challenge myself, see how well I can keep up. And I'm ready, man. You know, this is, I have wrestled in my hometown before, but this right here, this show, this night, March 16th coming up, I know it's going to be like nothing else I've ever done.
No, man, I definitely can agree with that. And we actually have an image that we're going to upload here on the screen for you guys to see, because you kind of touched on it. Destiny is the biggest show that MPX puts on in a calendar year. And like you touched on, and for all the pro wrestling fans out there, you've kind of had your, in terms of WWE, there's SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, WrestleMania. AEW, you've got Revolution, Double or Nothing, All In, All Out, Full Gear. For MPX, you guys, the big four is kind of, Purple Rain, Purge, Destiny, Texas Rumble.
Yep.
And the fact that we're getting to bring Destiny here to the Epic, and like you touched on, TNA superstar Trey Miguel is one of the headliners coming to this show. He's been around with the Wrestling Revolver, but for you, one-on-one, I mean, that's my main event personally. I know we've got the world title going on with Aaron Eagle and Tommy Becker, but I think a lot of people have their eyes on you versus Trey. So kind of give me a little insight. Like, how are you preparing for that, getting ready for that?
I'm training like I never have before, man. Any time that I've taken an extended break from Metroplex Wrestling or just pro wrestling in general, it's only ever been due to injuries. I've had injuries here and there, broken noses. I tore my shoulder a little over a year ago. Right. At some point, I had pulmonary laceration cut in my lung. I was coughing up blood. So I had to take, 3.5, 4 months off. But this recent break that I took after I lost my second MPX championship to Aaron Eagle at this past year's Purple Rain, that's 6 months that I had been away from pro wrestling. I wasn't on any show. Right. I wasn't really making appearances. I definitely wasn't getting in there and, wrestling. Right. I took that time off to mainly reflect on myself. I asked myself, who am I right now? And who do I want to be when I come back? And really, I just drew as much inspiration as I could from as many different sources as I could. And I said, okay, this is what I want to do when I come back. Being a good guy is so much fun, man. You get to, I miss high-fiving, handshaking, hugging people, signing things for people, taking pictures, man. That's the most fulfilling feeling that there is in pro wrestling. Being the bad guy, hitting a 15-year-old kid just for trying to operate the camera ringside, shoving a dude's wife, that garners really big. Oh my God, that guy is, I hate that guy. I want to see him lose so bad. Right. And that's your job in that position. But man, like just being that baby face, being that person that people want to see win and get behind, there's just no other feeling like that in the world. It's the best drug there is, man. Man. And that's why I'm really looking forward to this. I kind of got off the subject. What was the question again?
Hey, no, it's okay, because I was actually going to piggyback on what you were saying, because, like I've told you, and I'm sure all the addicts know, or starting to get to know who I am now. Yeah. But I remember seeing your heel era, and I was that one fan in the crowd where I was like, if I cheer for him, I might get booed. So it was kind of like seeing that progression you had in the things you did to keep the MPX title, the lines that you crossed, the rivalries that you made, all of that kind of storyline that went into it. And like you mentioned, when you did make your exit, I believe you had a match with
Matthew Palmer.
And because you lost, the Tatum Tantrum was born.
Yep.
And then after that, it was like, where is he?
Yep.
Like, where is he going? Is he going to come back? And I was there at the Texas Rumble when you returned this year, and seeing the reaction of the addicts and the fans there was like no other. Like, I know you probably had goosebumps, but just as a fan, like, my shoulders were like, oh my God, it's really him. Like, he's back.
Yeah, that was really special for me. Well, rule number one, don't disrespect Matt Palmer or Athena. You will get punched straight in the mouth by Palmer. Does not feel good. And I got rolled up for a pin. And, I threw my fit. I grabbed the mic. I quit. We had the nah, hey, goodbye. Everyone was like, haha, you suck, right? So I'm gone for 6 months. And I come back with a completely different look, completely, renewed passion and fire behind me.
Right.
But I was really, really genuinely afraid of how I was going to be received when I came back. And a lot of people asked me the question, too. They're like, well, there's no telling how they're going to react. You know, they might not just miss you because you were gone for 6 months. You know, the last image they have in their mind of you was the most miserable douchebag they've ever seen in their life. So, you know, you could go out there, hot ball of fire, and people just, you know, sit there on their hands, or they boo you, or they're like, oh, I remember you, you suck, right? So when the video played and the name hit the screen and I just busted through that curtain, passion just flowing, like that reaction that I got, it's not the loudest reaction I've ever got. But it was just this momentous, like people were like, oh, is that him? And then when they saw me, that I felt that more than any other reaction I've ever gotten. And those are those moments that you chase when you do this. You live through and you experience a moment like that where your heart is in it 100%, and so is the crowds. You know, so are the MPX addicts, as we call them. You want to ride that momentum for as long as you can, and you want to carry that feeling with you every single time you walk out there.
For sure, man. And to kind of touch on what you talked about, and we've got another image up here on the screen that we want to show you guys as well. These images and graphics are floating all over social media because this goes on with the momentum that you touched on. And MPX, you know, we've touched on it. Metroplex Wrestling is the best weekly running show here in the state of Texas. And I mean, you guys talk about no days off. You talk about no shows off. Even with Revolver coming to town, you know, there's some MPX talent who gets on that Revolver card. And even then, it builds to things like this, where this is going to be a potential sellout. And you talked about in Bedford, Texas Rumble, Purple Rain, shows that will sell out and you guys have to turn people away. Here at the Epic, we're hoping that you guys not only sell out, but we hope you guys are making history. And just seeing that up there alone, you versus Trey Miguel here at the Epic, March 16th. I just got to know, man, do you think we're going to hit a standing room capacity? Because we've done it at Revolver every time they come to town. Give me kind of your take on that. Like, what are you thinking? What are you hoping for?
Key to success in any area of life is confidence. So I'll sit here right now and tell you I have all the confidence in the world, man. If we just push, and we, you know, through market advertising, word to mouth, you know, especially me getting out there, you know, going from place to place, letting people know, hey, man, you know, this is who I am. I'm from here, trying to show out for my city. You know, this is what we're all about. You know, the quality of our product, man, it's so much better than most of what I've seen as far as, you know, like independent wrestling goes. When I got into this 5.5, 6 years ago, I hadn't ever been to an independent pro wrestling show for any company ever. The only thing I ever knew of pro wrestling was what you see on TV. You know, I grew up watching Friday Night SmackDown as a kid. So all I really knew and all I expected out of wrestling was a weekly wrestling product with, you know, interesting characters, people who hate each other, you know, friends turning on each other, feuds, conflict, resolution, man. That is what brings in a crowd and keeps a crowd. You know, I fell in love with pro wrestling as a kid when I saw Undertaker and Batista going at it on SmackDown one night, and I was like, I have to see what happens next week. That's what puts Metroplex Wrestling just on such a higher pedestal than anything else I've ever been to or worked for or worked at. You know, we know who we are, we know what we are, and we're confident, every single one of us, in ourselves, in each other as a company. And man, when you are just bonded like that, and you hustle and, you know, do everything for the love of the game, like not everything always comes together the way that you want it to, but I'm really, really confident that we are going to sell out here.
I'm definitely expecting that for you guys, and I am hoping that that comes true. And, you know, like you touched on, and we had Cedric as a guest during the last podcast episode, and the MPX addicts are loyal. Like, if there was one word to tie in, is loyalty. So the addicts, you know, they're going to follow you. They're going to support you. They may boo you. They may cheer you. All of the above. But I know for sure, even during the Revolver shows, you know, when MPX has come out, I've looked in the crowd. I'm like, oh, yeah, I know this guy. I know that guy. Oh, there's Handsome Rex. Oh, there's Brian. Oh, there's Laura. You know, the Pulvers are here. So kind of knowing that all of the addicts are coming in is one thing, but how do you kind of sell this to a newer crowd?
Man, there are a lot of people who grew up watching pro wrestling that might have gotten out of it at
Right.
some point. There are a lot of people who have an idea of what pro wrestling is. Like, if anything else, if you're not really big into it, it's an event that you can bring your kids to, your friends, your family, just have fun, get into it. It's a show, man.
Right.
It's just like going to see a movie or a play or, a UFC fight, or a boxing fight, right? Like, it's just, down to its core, it is athletic, but it is entertainment.
Right.
And that's what we set out to do every single time. We set out to entertain every single person that pays their hard-earned money to be there and watch us do what we do.
I'm definitely excited for you guys, and I know we don't have all the images to show you guys, but I kind of want to run down some of the matches for you because this past weekend at the MPX show Defy the Odds, more matches were kind of announced for Destiny, one of which being the tag team title match with the Scorn defending against Purple Haze.
Yes, sir.
We've got the women's title match, Erica Torres defending against Hilda, and also more recently announced a 15-man battle royale featuring Angel Camacho and Franco D'Angelo and 13 unnamed stars who are going to be in that match. So kind of with everything that's coming out, like, what is your highlight, minus your match, of course, but kind of what's your takeaway on this card?
Man, there's so much homegrown talent that thankfully is getting the opportunity to show what they're all about. I think that's when MPX is its absolute best, when we have the opportunity to bring in, people who are amazing at what they do, people like Chris Bay, people like Fuego del Sol, people like Zach Wentz and Trey Miguel, and then incorporate them into, mixing it up with our talent to give our talent, an opportunity to expand and get in front of more eyes and just, show up and show out and give it their 110%. Right. Personally, man, the battle royale, like what a wild thing that can turn out to be. I love battle royals. I love Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble has always been my favorite pay-per-view. That's why I love the Texas Rumble.
Right.
So to be able to show up out of nowhere and create a moment like that, that's why that was so special to me. Personally, man, I'm really, really looking forward to Chris Bay versus Exodus Prime one-on-one. Exodus Prime, I have wrestled him one-on-one in 6-man tags and tag team matches pretty much throughout the state, man, for multiple promotions, but especially in Metroplex Wrestling. We feuded over the MPX Addicts Championship, the MPX Championship. He beat me. He took my first MPX Championship from me at the Purge 2022. Right. So to see him get the opportunity to work with somebody as athletic and as talented and as just so good as Chris Bay, I'm really excited for what comes out.
That is definitely one of the highlight matches I have on my card as well. I know, my wife, she'll probably watch this. And actually, we touched on, that newer audience, because for the longest time, and I know I share this story a lot, my director over here, Jamal, has heard this too. For the longest time, she never really understood why I was so, into professional wrestling. Like you mentioned, the WWE shows, Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, how it's all storyline driven. But actually being involved in Metroplex Wrestling, seeing the storylines, seeing the development, seeing everything that comes out of it. I know for me personally, and I've always given him his flowers where his flowers are due, I'm looking forward to seeing this Kari Wright versus Zachary Wentz match. I mean, you talk about the Rascals, right? One of the best tag teams on the planet.
Absolutely.
You get Trey Miguel one-on-one, and for Kari to step in there with Zachary Wentz, I mean, what do you think is going to happen in that match? Because you know the Rascals better than anyone. Like, you've seen them here, and you've seen what they've done at the Revolver shows. So kind of what's coming?
I think it's always interesting when you take two people who are so well known as tag team wrestlers. Not necessarily tag team wrestlers, but they are famously in a tag team in TNA, one of the best companies out there doing it. When you give those two guys an opportunity to break off, even just for one night, and show what they can do individually on their own in a match one-on-one with somebody else, that's always special, man. And Trey Miguel being a former TNA X Division champion, I've seen his matches. I've studied, I've watched them. for the most part, I think I know what he's capable of. Zach Wentz, man. Zach Wentz going from, NXT, TNA. Zach Wentz has worked all over the place. So to see Kari get that opportunity to step up and work with somebody who's very well known and very good at their craft, that's exciting too, man. That kind of got sprung up on me out of nowhere. We got both the Rascals on one show.
Yeah.
And I've got Trey Miguel, and now Kari has Zach Wentz. Kari is one of the most talented. I hate using the term underrated because it gets thrown around a lot.
Right.
But man, Kari is so good, man. I've, much like Exodus, I've wrestled Kari at MPX, in other promotions, in singles matches, tag team matches. And Kari is just so unique, and his style is very unlike anything that anybody else does.
Right.
In the same way that Zach Wentz is very unique, and, same way that both the Rascals are very unique. So most, if not every single match on this card has an opportunity to stand out on its own in a way that is different from anything else on the card.
Without a doubt, man. And everyone kind of has their, opinions on what is your main event, what's going to be your dream match, what's going to be the match of the night, what's going to be the show stealer. But the card itself, we still have 1 week to go.
Yep.
There's one more MPX show this upcoming weekend, so who knows what else is going to get put out there.
Man. Who knows?
But if you have not gotten your tickets already, go to mpxwrestling.com, get your tickets while you can, because just like the Revolver shows, these will sell out. I mean, this is an amazing venue. It's a very large venue. It's not your typical event center, but we do have the capacity where we're not going to turn anybody away. We've got standing room capabilities, so I'm really truly excited to see what Destiny is going to hold, because like we've talked about, like the promo videos have said, this is the biggest show that MPX has ever put on, like ever in the history, in every sense of the word, match wise, who's coming to be on the card, location wise, the first time out of the Bedford doors, coming to Grand Prairie. So I know I'm super pumped and I'm super excited. Before we kind of wrap things up and finish, do you have anything else that you kind of want to throw out there to, the hometown crowd, any Grand Prairie fans that are watching, listening, anything else that you want to just throw out there before we wrap up today?
Man, when it comes down to it, I'm showing up for my people. That's a big thing for me right here, is to showcase my talent and my hard work and everything that I'm about right here where I grew up in the middle of my hometown. I show up for my people because I know my people show up for me, man. Right. That's why this is so special for me. Again, I'm anxious. I'm nervous. This is pretty surreal, man. Like just being here right now. And, doing the interview, knowing that, in it's just a matter of time until it all comes together and it all happens. Right. I'm ready. I have never been more ready for a show, for a match, for anything in my life and in my career in pro wrestling.
I love it, man. I'm definitely looking forward to it. And before we kind of wrap things up and go off the air, I just personally want to thank you because, like I said, without you being from Grand Prairie or being involved as you are in MPX, I never would have had the idea to even put two and two together to bring something like this out to this kind of venue. Yeah. I'm thankful for the opportunity that I have as the event coordinator to put stuff like this on and work with partners as great as you, as great as Palmer, as great as MPX. And I'm really looking forward to this, you guys. Like, I cannot stress this enough. I do this every time we do a podcast. Please go to mpxwrestling.com. Get those tickets while you can. I guarantee that it's going to be a sellout. I can't wait for March 16th. Destiny is going to be one of the biggest shows ever. It's going to be one of the best shows ever. And I literally cannot wait to see what the future holds for all of this, even after Destiny. I know there's still a lot more in the year. We're still fairly early in 2024, man.
Yes, sir.
Can you believe that?
Yep. We got The Purge in the middle of the summer. We got Purple Rain at the end of the summer. Cold Day in Hell is a bigger show that we have in December. But, we've had our big four, eventually big five. But at this point, we've been lucky enough to bring in, a lot of people and have bigger shows pretty much scattered throughout the year.
Right.
We've grown a lot as a company. We've grown a lot as people. So I'm really lucky. I'm really blessed to have fallen into this position where I get to contribute to something so meaningful and so special. So, man, surreal as it is, I'm ready. I'm so ready.
Definitely looking forward to it. Thank you guys, everybody, for joining in and tuning in to this episode of Epic Live. Thank you, Tatum, for
Yes, sir.
taking some time
Thank you,
out
man.
and coming to be with us.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing all of you one more time, if we can get it up on the screen for all of you guys to see. Please come join us here at the Epic Saturday, March 16th, 2024, as MPX puts on Destiny. Tickets can be purchased at mpxwrestling.com. For all things future with the Epic, you guys can check out jointheepic.com as well. And as always, I am your athletic and event coordinator, JJ Jefferson. We will see you guys on the next episode of Epic Live. Y'all stay safe.